Hello and welcome to yet another episode of your Prime Time Football. This week we will have 5 episodes and we will start with Thursday Night Football between Cardinals and my goddamn Seahawks. Now, my storyline for this game is on the crossroads. Both of these teams started 2-1, but it's not as good as it might look because both lost to the 49ers and this division is hella tough. The only loss they have outside of this division, playing against each other, is Rams versus Eagles in that crazy game last week. So you know that these teams they are like combined 9-3. Yeah, they are absolutely striving for at least 2 playoff spots, if not 3. But going 2-2 and 0-2 within your own division could be a slow death sentence. So both these teams absolutely need a win in this Thursday Night Football. To top this storyline off, let's focus on one of the key matchups that I have within this one. And that's Charles Cross versus Calais Campbell. Charles Cross, he was a number 9 pick 3 years ago. And he was really good for season, then he struggled with injuries. Last year, as you can see, he was absolute stud, and this year he absolutely continues to do so. So I think he quickly ascends to the top left tackle in the league. And I love that. We needed it. As a Seahawks fan, I guarantee you, the biggest concern we had, perhaps after Sam Darnold, was can this offensive line hold up? And when you have a franchise left tackle, yeah, it can polish a lot of other stuff. Ask 49ers. They have gone by within this formula with Trent Williams for several years. I'm not saying Charles is Trent Williams. I am not. Definitely not. Especially in terms of his run blocking, he's just not there. But he is a damn good player. Also, I've noticed that he has, for some reason I have him as a pass rusher in terms of his production here. No, this is his pass protection, run blocking, his penalties and sacks allowed. Sorry for that, Charles. Now, who is he going to face? Well, it's going to be Josh Sweat, I think most of the time. The guy that Arizona brought in this offseason, move I loved for them, not necessarily for my Seahawks, because I think they really kind of underpaid for a really, really good edge rusher. And so far, he's been proving them. And then you have the ageless wonder of Calais Campbell. Another signing that I was absolutely stoked about for them. And so far, he's absolutely proving me right. This dude is a great mentor. He comes back for probably his last season towards the Cardinals, the team that he spent a lot of his career with. And not only he's there to hopefully educate Darius Robinson, etc., but he also had 2 big plays finishing game 2 against, I think it was Saints, game week 2. No, it wasn't Saints. Someone else. Other bad team. But he finished the game. And in week 3, he put Cardinals into winning position because he was the one drawing a flag that caused a safety, going Cardinals 15-13 with 4 minutes to spare. But their offense could not carry them, and then 49ers kicked a last-second field goal. So Calais Campbell and Josh Sweat, those are going to be tough matchups for Charles Cross. But I have, utmost respect for Calais Campbell, but at the same time, I think Charles Cross is absolutely well equipped to handle them. It's not to mention that Calais is going to be trying to get more inside against Grace Abel. Jalen Sandel, that's more problematic, I think. Now, for other key matchups in this one, I was looking at who is going to guard Trey McBride, because to me, he is the motor of this offense with James Conner being out for the rest of the season. They're run-first offense, but I'm not sure Trey Benson can do, I would say 90% of James Conner did, 80, 75. And without that, I'm not sure if they don't have to change their identity a little bit. And who else would come to mind other than Trey McBride? Because this dude is freaking amazing. I would probably put him as my top 3 tight end in the league, top 5 at worst. And this year, he is just an absolute menace once again. He does everything in terms of pass catching for this offense because, let's face it, this should have been about him and Marvin Harrison and run game and complementary pieces. But run game suffered without James Conner, and Marvin Harrison so far, after promising week 1, week 2 and 3, this was ugly. And that job he had last week, man. So yeah, I think the focus needs to be on Trey McBride. And who is going to cover him in terms of Seahawks? I'm not sure, because while I really do like Ernest Jones next to Tyrese Knight, I don't think there are some prolific coverage linebackers. I think they're good at it, but Trey McBride is elite. And going with perhaps Devon Witherspoon after injury, trying to match him up from slot, I like Spoon. I definitely love this guy, and I have no problem with his physicality, but like after injury, going against Trey McBride when he's like 50 pounds heavier and like 6 inches higher, that would be a tough matchup. So this is one where I'm like, I'm not sure. Perhaps you go with a rotation of players, some trying to double him up, and just like, okay, perhaps let's put Spoon on Marvin Harrison, double Trey McBride, and for Cardinals, show us what you can do. In that scenario, I would definitely expect Cardinals to lean much more heavier into Kyler Murray and his legs. So we will see about this one. Now, for the Seahawks offense, I did not go with anyone but Charles Cross. And we could talk about JSN, because I don't really know who is going to cover him. This dude is absolutely sending, definitely putting himself into my amazing starters category, and like by the end of this year, he could be put in elite. But other than that, I was like, I'm much more interested about this defensive matchup, because whilst I am pretty impressed with what we are doing offensively, I think key to win this game from the Seahawks perspective is our defense. And I would say the same about Cardinals offense. They need to refine their identity with James Conner down. He's not only there by far the best running back, and when you are run first team, that kind of matters, but he's also a team captain and absolute leader in the locker room. So with that being said, let's focus on the last matchup. Byron Murphy versus Hjalte Froholt. Hjalte is a guy that I think is constantly underestimated. I have him as a top 10 center in the league, and I don't think there's many people that view him as such, but I think he's absolutely amazing. One, yeah, he is not the biggest guy, but he is really good for the system when he has great get off. He's very athletic, and he helps this run game, and even with other pieces around him not necessarily performing, and like name an Arizona Cardinals guard, I don't think you will know much about this group. He is their only bright spot for that interior for like last 2 or 3 years. So Hjalte, he is a damn good player. But now he's going to face the chosen one, as you can see on the neck of Byron Murphy, and a guy that, yeah, he struggled year 1, but he was battling injury and trying to like really prove himself next to other pieces. But year 2, he is here. Byron Murphy is here. He's leading the league in several categories for an interior defensive lineman, and he's going to be a hell matchup for Hjalte Froholt. Now, that, of course, is amplified by the fact that next to Hjalte, I don't really trust the guard for the Cardinals, but I do trust our defensive ends or defensive tackles, Leonard Williams, Sharon Reed. That helps Byron Murphy create the pressure. And, for a small quarterback, if you can seal the edge with DeMarcus Lawrence, who is really good at it, and you can generate pressure from the interior, which like with Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams, I do expect that to happen. What is Kyler going to do? This is going to take a lot of creativity from Drew Petting to figure this one out. I don't think it's impossible, but I would say this is a sneakily good matchup for the Seahawks. So yeah, don't expect to get burned. No. This won't happen, right? Right, Seahawks? When I have hope? Okay, we will see. Anyway, first day my matchup that perhaps if you have entered the season, you will be like, kind of mediocre one. I think you should be really excited about this one. Don't expect too much of a scoring in my eyes, because short week, two of the teams that are like with defensive head coaches, they know each other, so they know some of the tendencies. So I think defenses should get the priority in this one. But at the same time, both Sam Darnold and Kyler Murray are playing at really high level. They have elite weapons, JSN versus Trey McBride. So who knows? So one last thing, let's go Seahawks. Thank you very much for listening, and see you with another episode of Prime Time Football. Bye guys.